Morning everyone, I hope you're all staying safe and well in these challenging lockdown times. So I thought I'd do a update video of my KTM 790 Duke, as I've almost owned it 12 months. So usually I'd be out on the road, parked up in a car park, lay by somewhere doing an outdoor video with the bike in it. However, not only are we in lockdown, it is pouring with rain today as well. So I shall do the video from the spare room at home and put in a couple of pictures of the bike. But mainly it's just to talk about what I've found living with the bike for 12 months has been like, to hopefully give you an idea if you're thinking about buying one as to the pros and cons of it. So here is the bike. And at the end of the video I shall put some other pictures showing some of the modifications that I've done to it that I shall talk about in the video. And if you keep seeing me look away, it's because I've got my notes in front of me to remind me what I do and don't like, because I've made quite a long list of different bits. So no further ado, let's crack on, and we'll start on the positive side and the longer list of the two, and that's likes. And they're in no particular order, it's just as I've been thinking about the bike, what it is I like about it. So lack of weight, that's one of them. The bike is about 169 kilos, I think it is. I think that's a wet weight, possibly a few kilos extra, but it is extremely light. BMX with an engine is something I refer to it as. It's easy to manoeuvre about on and off the bike, easy to control at slow speed. Yeah, lack of weight, fantastic. And that links straight into the second point that I want to make. Another like of the bike is its agility. Because of that lack of any weight and its narrowness and everything like that, it turns very quickly. It's easy to filter. It's just a great little bike. And then that flips over then to the performance and the engine character. The 799cc parallel twin puts out 105 horsepower, and with that lack of weight, it is really punchy. Great fun, will lift the front nice and easy if that's what you wish to do. And the engine's got a real bit of character to it. It's got a little bit of buzziness about it. It's a bit vibey. It's I don't know, it's sort of, you can hear it work, and you can, it's just very characterful, and it sounds more like a V-twin than a parallel twin, and you can't help but want to be on the throttle, especially if you've got a nice fruity exhaust on it. And that performance is backed up with a fantastic electronics package straight out of the box from KTM. So 4 riding modes, you get rain, street, sport and track. You can customize, so you can turn off the anti-wheelie, you can turn off the ABS, you can put it in supermoto mode, which is you takes the ABS just off the back brake. You can dial down or dial up the traction control. It's got launch control as standard, so that's good fun. But if you want a bit more of a sedate ride on the fly, flick it back into street or rain mode. Horsepower is the same across all the levels, but it's just the throttle response is completely different. Yeah, despite all this performance, fuel economy, I've seen 72, 73 miles per gallon on long runs, where there's been quite a bit of dual carriageway and motorway use. So even with thrashing the bike, you still get some amazing fuel consumption. I didn't buy the bike for fuel consumption, but it's just a bonus. It's only got a little 14 litre tank, but I've had 180 miles out of that tank before I've put any fuel back in the bike. So thumbs up to KTM engineers there. Comfort, I don't have the ergo seat, which is the softer seat. I have the standard seat, and I must admit, after a couple of thousand miles that the bike's done, it's perfectly fine. Seat height is, I would say, medium. I'm 5'7" with a 30-inch inside leg, and I can't get my feet flat. I'm on the balls of my feet, but again, because there's no weight, it's not a problem. But you can do a couple of hours in the saddle and no particular aches and pains. So standard seat, if you buy one, I would give it a few hundred miles to get used to it before just swapping out and putting on the comfort version. Grin factor, well, I think I've covered that off with other things that we've said. It makes you want to ride like you stole it. It makes you want to be a bit of a hooligan and try and keep lifting that front up and using the launch control. So it makes you feel like a big kid. It's great. Its looks, very subjective. I like the looks. I like the praying mantis style headlight that KTM use, and lots of angles on the bike. And the fit and finish seems pretty good, so I do like the looks. Value for money, yeah, I think I paid not much over £8,000 a year ago for a brand new bike. They're a lot cheaper now, and that's something I will come on to at the end of the video as not a dislike, but a moan about KTM in the UK with something that they've recently done. Standard suspension, non-adjustable. And a few people sort of moan, oh, it's budget suspension. It has been built down to a price, but it's been built for the UK roads as far as I can see. Our A and B roads tend to be pretty poor and quality and very bumpy, and you can really chuck the bike over them and it absorbs the bumps and it gives you a sporty ride, at the same time not a neck-breaking, jarring ride. So yeah, I think for everyday use on our roads, suspension is perfectly fine. Probably if you're taking it on track, then I can imagine it's going to get overwhelmed quite quickly. Rear brake on this bike is brilliant. Most rear brakes on bikes are useless and you have to stamp on them to get anything out of them. Because this has got the Supermoto setup, you can, if you put it in that mode, you can stamp on that back brake and you can lock the back up nice and easy if you want to be backing into corners and doing skids or whatever because you want to be a hooligan. But for everyday use, that rear brake is brilliant. If you're filtering through very slow traffic, you can get very, very good slow speed control, even with the slight snatchy throttle, which is something I will talk about, because you can ride that rear brake and virtually crawl along at 1-2 mile an hour, feet up on the peg. So very good rear brake. And lastly, the quick shifter and the blipper. Brilliant. Up through the box, smooth as silk, and down through the box with the blipper, smooth as silk. No issues getting into first from standstill, and no issues finding neutral. So yeah, thumbs up on that area of the bike. So move on to some dislikes. Not too many. And all of them could be sorted out if you wanted to. And the first one is the throttle response at low revs. It is quite a snatchy throttle, so if you are running through a town or a village at sort of 20-30 mile an hour, trying to hold a constant throttle, it can be difficult, especially if you're trying to run that in sport or track mode, because the throttle is very instant. So you will look to run that in street or even possibly rain mode as you travel through towns and villages if you've got long stretches of 30 mile an hour travel to do. And it's very easy on the fly. You can just switch between modes and no problem at all. The brakes, they are relatively budget brakes. They work perfectly well, but they are a bit wooden. They're not, there's no real instant bite and great feel from them. They work, they need a fairly hard pull on the lever, and they do the job. But if you're coming from a sports bike that's perhaps got Brembo or Brembo type brakes and you're used to 2 fingers on the lever and the bike sticking itself on its nose, first time you get on the KTM, and until you're used to it, you will realise you need more than 2 fingers. You need a real good pull on the lever. The chain is very awkward to lube and check. If you get one of these bikes, you'll notice that where the chain, you've got the swing arm, and the chain runs very, very close to the swing arm, and normally they chain sit miles away from the swing arm and you push them up to check. With these, you push them up and they do touch the swing arm on purpose, but it makes getting the gap between the swing arm and the chain is very, very small, which means getting lube into the top of the chain rollers from there is difficult. Have found that on top of the chain, from the end of the chain guard before you get to the sprocket cover, there is a little gap, and I've found that lubing it from the top seems to be about the best way to do it. Standard tyres, they are a specially developed Maxxis tyre for the bike. Because it's a budget tyre, they've made them very soft to get the grip of what you would get from a more expensive tyre, which means they don't last very long. My rear tyre was gone by 2,000 miles, and I'm not a particularly hard rider, and I have spoken to people that have ridden them on track, and the standard tyres on track are not very good. So I've replaced the rear tyre because it's my second bike and I don't do many miles, and I didn't want to take the Maxxis off the front and replace both. I have got another Maxxis, but they brought out a similar tread pattern but a slightly harder compound, so done a couple hundred miles with that, and so far initial thoughts are it seems good. So we'll see how we get on over the next year on that tyre. And then something I mentioned at the beginning of the video when I was talking about the price value for money, and this is something KTM UK have recently done. So the list price, I think the end of last year, was about £8,700 in the UK, and I got mine for about 8.1 or 8.3 May last year because I got a discount from Jim A Motorcycles. Thanks, Alistair. But recently, prior to the lockdown, KTM UK have been authorising dealers to sell unregistered 2019 models at under £7,000, and we've seen some bikes going brand new at £6,500. That's brilliant if you're in the market to buy a bike because you're going to get a fantastic deal on one, but it's not great if you're an existing owner because the residual value of your existing bike has just gone like that. Other problems some of the dealers are having is that they took second-hand ones in part exchange against other bikes towards the end of last year, and then been trying to sell them for in excess of what they're now being told to sell brand new bikes, which means that they've got to discount their second-hand stocks so far down in price that they're actually getting down to what they paid the owner for taking the bike in, so that it's straight away they've got no profit in that second-hand bike. So a bit naughty of KTM doing that. I know full well if I tried to sell mine now, I couldn't get what I owe on the finance agreement. For me, it's not an issue. I'm not looking to sell. I'm not in a position where I have to sell. But with these tough times, with people being put out of work, people being furloughed, etc., they may need to release money to pay bills, and the first thing that might go is the motorcycle, and they're now going to be struggling to get anywhere near what they thought they might get after 12 months of owning a bike. So thumbs down KTM UK on that one. So then general, as I say, I've done 2,200 miles, new rear tyre at 2,000 miles, one warranty claim. The dash managed to allow condensation between the screen and the actual dash itself, so that was replaced under warranty very quickly, again by Jim A Motorcycles. And as I mentioned, fuel consumption is very, very good. So with regard to changes that I've made to the bike, I did make a little video in the garage the other day showing what these are, so we shall cut to that video and I shall run you through the changes that I've made. So things that I've done to the bike in the 12 months that I've owned it. Let's have a look. So we've got the Juvie tank ring. That's the KTM Power Parts touring screen, power bronze handguards, the ultimate add-ons connector for me phone, a charging lead so I can charge the phone on the go. That's just wired straight to the battery. What else have we done? We've done the, let's see if we can get in here, the KTM belly pan, the Power Parts tank protection kit, and pretty much, oh, and of course the main thing to make it noisy, Pipeworks end can. That does make a lot of difference in terms of noise. And apart from that, not much else. Kept the standard tailpiece on, purely because I find going out in the wet, even if you just take this bit off, you get absolutely covered in wet and mud and everything like that. Oh, and also because the throttle is a bit snatchy, put one of these throttle rockers, so that sort of motorway speed, you can just rest your hand on it and keep a constant throttle, because the throttle response is a bit jerky, and trying to keep a constant throttle can be difficult. So for me, that's it really on the KTM 790 Duke, my year of ownership. Would I recommend one? Would I buy another one? Yes, I would. I've owned a Street Triple R, very good bike, I would say. The Street Triple R is the grown-up middleweight naked bike, and the KTM is the hooligan. Depends what you want from the bike. The Street Triple is a far more refined and finished article, and it feels like a bigger bike. The KTM does feel like this BMX with an engine, and you just want to thrash it, and it won't do anything else apart from thrashing around back lanes. It will. It's got a decent rear perch on it. You can strap luggage to it. It'll be a bit of a problem with the slightly high exhaust that comes out the back, so be careful of melting your indicators if you put a tail tidy on. That's something that does happen. Whereas the Street Triple does feel like it's a bike that can do a lot more than just scratching around. But I do think that it's a great bike. If you're in the market for a middleweight naked bike, give them a try. Don't be put off by reading forums with all the negative points about things that go wrong. Go on any bike forum for any manufacturer and you will have negative comments. Get out there, try one for yourself, find a dealer that will look after you. Say, I can't recommend Jimmy Motorcycles in Braintree, Essex more highly. It's not my local dealer, but I have known them for a few years, and they're great people down there, and they know their stuff, especially when it comes to KTMs. So I hope you found the video of interest. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Any comments, I will look to reply to everyone. If you didn't like it, then fair enough, please leave thumbs down. And if you want to see more videos, then please subscribe to the channel. It is a relatively new channel. Not got too many videos up, and only got 45 subscribers at the minute, but looking to put more content onto the channel this year, hopefully once lockdown ends. I've got a trip planned in September to the Picos, so hopefully that will go ahead, and we'll get some nice footage of the twisty roads in the mountains there. That will be on the Kawasaki H2, not the KTM. But for now, please all stay safe. Fingers crossed this lockdown ends as soon as possible, with as few people as possible dying as a result, and we'll see you all on the other side. So for now, ciao.